So in this video, we're going to review example 6, which goes through some questions involving you doing linear regression on the private college tuition costs and fees. So again, some things we're going to keep in mind because we're going to be looking for an equation where y is the cost and x is the number of years after 1985. So again, these are going to be replaced for numbers 0 through 22, with 1985 being the 0, 2007 being 22, and any other values of x being adjusted accordingly for whatever year you're looking for. And we're going to be ignoring the public school data as part of this as well. So you want to do the linear regression for this, again, to get that line of best fit and the regression line. So again, going through the calculator really briefly, as you see again, even from the previous video, I already had the data in for L3 for representing these costs over here. Move this over maybe a little bit. So whenever I make my adjustments for my purposes, I'm going to be using L1 for my X list and L3 for my Y list. And again, if I want to see what the scatter plot looks like for L1 and L3, I'm going to go to plot 2 because plot 1 already had the previous one. And I had turned plot 1 off from the previous example. As you see here, I have it set up. I'm just going to turn it on now. Scatter plot, the X list is L1, the Y list is L3. The same mark I usually use because, again, it's easier seen than some of these other ones. And I actually had the choice to make it red. And so if I graph this now, you can see a scatter plot looks a lot like what you see in the graph for the private school data that you saw previously. And so now I want to do the regression line. So quitting out of here, I'm going to go to calculations and linear regressions. Now I'm going to do L3 for this. No frequency again. I'm going to store this equation in Y2, and I'm going to calculate it. And I can see the equation for my regression line from A and B. I got my R value here. So those are all things that I can do. And so from here, I have the equation for the regression line. Now, how well does the regression line fit the data for the cost of attending a private college or university? Well, going back to the previous situation where we were using 2 data points to do that, neither one of them really fit all that well. There was always a portion of the graph kind of falling off. However, and this is going to be verified by me going back to here, if I wanted to graph my regression line, because now it's stored under Y2, I've turned off Y1, and you can turn graphs on and off by going over the equal sign and hitting enter. If I could see that the regression line, again, is fitting the data fairly well. I mean, there's still some points falling off of it, but not nearly as far as they were from the previous ones. Like here, I mean, I had a bunch of points falling pretty far off from the green one. The red one, I had these ones at the end here getting pretty far away. Here, not so much. I have this one here that might be a little bit further away than I'd like, but overall, it's fitting fairly well. So you can see that the line is doing something along the lines of this, which is a much better fit. And also, if I go back, my R value is 0.99605. That's really close to being 1. And as discussed before, because it's that close to 1, it's a pretty strong correlation. That means that I would expect any prediction that this equation makes to be fairly accurate. And so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take this equation, let x be 37, which represents the year 2022, and I'm going to substitute that in. Now again, I could do that fairly easily on the calculator now that I have it stored, because with it being now in Y1 or Y2, all I have to do is go to my regular window. I'm going to go to my Y variables and now choose Y2 and substitute in that 37. And I get $30,056.89 when all is rounded. And so that would be the prediction for part 3. And so that is the end of this problem, and that's the end of this video. If you have any additional questions, please make sure to bring them up in class.